Hello, everyone. I'm Esperanza Walsh, and this is Art from the Heart at St. Augustine's Church. And today, unfortunately, we are still in lockdown because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but we are going to do something very exciting, and that would be underpainting. So, this is the art piece we are going to do today, and we are going to create that using an underpaint. So, let's start. Again, this is the art piece. And this is the underpaint that we are going to do in yellow. Yes, for this one, I've used yellow. I mean, you can use another color, but I believe that yellow is a suitable underpaint for this. Um, I usually use an underpaint when I do portraits because I can do an underpaint with the skin tone of the person. So that would give me a base that actually shows the person's skin tone, and I can just work by putting layers on it. Well, on top of that, it's actually cleaner because I don't see pencil marks after I painted the art piece. But again, it depends on you. As I tell my students, you are the artist. It's dependent on you. It's not dependent on what somebody else tells you. So for this one, I just want you to learn the technique and apply it if it's useful for you. Okay, so enjoy underpainting, and we shall begin with this underpaint. So we have three objects, and for this one, I am going to use yellow. This is actually canary yellow that I'm using. So the first one, I'm going to paint an apple. So here, I'm just painting a circle in canary yellow. So this is my base. And then I am going to paint um, my pear. So I want it to be slightly lower like that. So again, just like a circle. So that's my pear. And then here another circle. Maybe it's a bit too small. Let me make that bigger. So that's part of the pear. And here another circle. And then I just connect them. And this is now my pear. And then I am now going to paint the jar, which is this yellow bit, which is going to be this jar over here. So let me do that. And I'm gonna put the jar over here. I'm gonna turn it around just to make it easier for me to paint it. Again, we're still doing the same color of underpaint, that's canary yellow. And I think this is too straight. I think that's much better. Let me get some more. So I need to have some sort of like a V here. And then a curve. And then another curve. I hope you can see it on your screen, even if the color I chose is light. Now I need to turn it around to estimate the proportions. My apologies. So one, and then here another curve. Okay, so I now have the jar. All I'm missing is the handle. So for the handle, we can make it a fancy looking handle or just a simple one. Okay, so we'll make it a simple one just for the purpose of this activity, but you can make it as fancy as you want or as simple as you want. Again, it depends on you. You are the artist. Okay, I'm going to try and lift some of the excess paint because I don't want a puddle. I want the distribution of color as even as possible. Okay, I think that should be fine. Now, the next step is just to wait for it to dry. So as this part is drying, let me test this one. It's still slightly wet. We just have to wait for it to dry, and then we can start painting the apple. You can test it again. I think this should be fine. The next color I'm going to apply is orange. Yes, orange. And I'm going to apply it here on this apple, just like lines, like so, curved lines. Like so. And then I am going to apply red paint. So this is going to go all around the apple. And just let the paint mix. And yes, I've accidentally painted over. And as I'm not sure if you can see it from where you are viewing this, but the redness of this bit, which went over, is different from the redness inside the apple. So I will just clean that up later on. So now, like that. Okay, I am going to follow the direction of the orange paint that I've applied. Okay, now I need to clean my brush and just create a nice transition here, just with water. Like so. Okay, and now I'm going to lift some of the paint. Okay, I need to apply a little bit more red here. And again, I am going to lift some of the paint here to make it lighter. Okay, so it's just like your normal painting. The only difference is that we have that underpaint in place of our sketch, and of course it affects the color of what is over. Okay, so now just need to get the kitchen towel, and for the excess here I just need to wet this so that I can lift it with the kitchen towel like so. And I would need to do a repair like that. Fantastic. And while it's wet, I'm going to put a darker red paint on it. This is a mixture of red and black. Just here on the lower bit. And this is to account for the shadow. And then just let it spread naturally. So if it won't, we can help it by applying some water on it. It's going to be something like that. And now we can paint the stem. So our apple is almost ready. We just need to paint the stem. So I'm going to get some dark green paint for that. Let me just check if it's dry. Okay, it's not yet dry, so I won't paint it yet. So we'll let the apple dry. The next piece that I am going to do would be this pear. Now, this pear, according to the original art piece, would be some sort of green. So I'm just getting sap green, just plain sap green, and I am going to paint it here over our underpaint. So this is the next layer. Then I'm gonna turn it around like so. And then I now have the pear. And just like what we did with the apple, I am going to lift some of the paint. So I'm just going to drop some water here, a little bit more, a little bit here. And now I am going to lift the paint over here to make this area a bit lighter. Okay, a little bit more here. Like so. And then I am going to get some burnt sienna. And I'm just going to put small drops of burnt sienna on it. So here, like so, just little drops. And then I'm gonna get more burnt sienna. And I'm going to put more drops along the side of the pear, here especially. And then I'm going to get some burnt umber. Again, same thing. I'm just going to put little drops along the side. Okay, so we are getting there. Now we just leave it to dry a little bit. And while we're doing that, we start with this one. So we have a canary yellow base. I am going to use some yellow ochre. Okay. And I'm just going to paint around, following the shape, the original shape. Like so. Then turn it around. And now I am going to soften this by just painting water here on the edges. And this is just to create some dimension. We will reinforce those dimension later on. So if we have put too much paint, so right, we just lift them. Okay, so that's the initial dimension of our jar. And we will do the same thing here on the handle. So, oops. Let me just turn it around. Okay, so now we have our apple almost ready. Let's see if we can apply the green paint there. Yes, we can. So now let's get some dark green paint for the apple. And let's just paint that stem. Not really that nice. This mixture I've made, it's a bit loose and it's too dark. So we will apply sap green instead. But it's not finished yet. Now I'm going to get some burnt umber. And apply some burnt umber here. And let it mix with the green paint. And that will make the stem look more natural. So again, burnt umber. Let me turn it around. And there we go. We have the apple with the stem. And later on, we're going to do the same thing for the pear. So while we have burnt umber in our brush, we will now put a line of burnt umber here. Like so, but very dilute. And here a little bit less dilute because it should depict the shadow. Okay, now I'm gonna rinse my brush, dip it in water and just soften this. Let the color mix softly with each other. Same here on this side. Again, softly. I'm just going to paint this bit with some water. Add a little bit of burnt umber. Let it spread like so. And that's just to add dimension to the pear. So now we just let it dry. And just like what I did earlier to the apple, I'm going to add a stem over here. So I've used sap green, and then I will be mixing a little bit of burnt umber with it, or dark brown. So that's dark brown. And I've made that line. I've made those lines. Again, that one. And then I am going to soften this with water. I am going to soften this with water. In this bit, I am going to lift the paint. I think I've put too much water for my brush, so I'm just going to lift it with a kitchen towel. So again, the kitchen towel is very useful. And we're making those parts lighter because of the reflection of light. So now we go back to this jar, and I am going to paint it with burnt sienna, but only to a certain point. Like so. And as you can see, it just made it a little bit darker, but not really much of a difference. So to help it flow, we just add water. Now we clean our brush. Fantastic. So now, while it's still wet, we get some burnt umber or dark brown paint. And then we paint this side as well. Again, same thing. And we soften the edges here and here. And we now apply black paint on it. And we just paint the black paint on the edge and let it spread. We will see later if we need to help it move into the rest of the paint. For now, we just paint the sides. Okay, and as I can see here, yes, we do need to help with the spread a little bit. Okay, I think I've done too much of that. So I'm just helping the paint spread. And I am going to paint the brim on this side with black paint. Okay. Okay, one moment, I need to lift the paint. It went over the area that I am supposed to paint. Okay. So here, it still has to follow that shape. So it still has to have that curvature. And if you can see here, I just painted something like dotted lines over there. And now water, just to spread it. So like shadows. And fantastic. And later on, once it dries, I am going to come back to it. Okay, here I could hardly see the dots, so I am going to put some dots in burnt umber or dark brown. Again, a little bit dense in this area. Here as well. And as I approach this part, less dense. So like that. And then I'm going to rinse my brush, make sure it's clean. And I am just going to help this spread a little bit naturally. To soften its appearance. So that when I look at it from afar, it looks more natural. Okay. I need to turn it around. And yes, it seems to be too dense. So I need to lift some of the paint. But at this point, the paint has already stained the paper. So that is good. We can already lift the paint. And then here, paint this area again with burnt umber or dark brown. So fantastic. That's fantastic. Oh, now we have to work on the handle. So I just painted it with water, not too much, so I'm lifting the excess ones. And then I'm going to get some burnt umber or dark brown. And then I am going to just paint it like so. And then allow it to spread in the middle. The middle has to be lighter to show its dimension. And then same thing we did here. We're going to get some black paint. And just the edge. Again, just the edge. Just spread it like that. And then lift the colors here. Okay, I'm going to drop clean water here. And I'm going to lift the color like so. so that it's lighter here compared to cotton. And then I will paint another layer of black paint here. To ensure that the shape can be seen. Perfect. Okay, so now it's time for the shadows. And we begin with the apple. So for the shadows, it has a shadow on its own. So here, it is darker. Again, I need to soften that a little bit to make it look more natural. And then below that, of course, there is also this shadow. And now we will be doing the pear. So again, there's a shadow over here. We need to soften that. Just a little bit. And then paint the shadow right below. So just like the apple, we're painting it like so around the pear. But this one has to go up to here. Okay, so now we have the shadow for the pear. So now we need the shadow for this jar. So again, it starts here. And then we have the shadow over there, right behind the apple and the pear. And then it also has shadows on itself. Here we don't need to put the shadow because it's already dark. That shows the shadow. But here on the other parts of this jar, for example, this one, the handle, we would need to put an extra dark shadow over there. And then there. Mhm. And here in the lower bit, there would also be a shadow, like so. And again, we have to soften that. Right, fantastic. Ah, our shadow here, yes, we don't need to show the shadow on the ground itself for the handle because it's behind the apple. So it should extend up to here behind it. Now there's still something missing. Yes, in the original, we have this for the background. So we are just going to paint straight lines here so that we can separate the background. So it's just a straight line, like so, here. And then I'm just going to get some burnt umber or dark brown. Paint it straight like so. And then there we are. Let me just extend this here, extend that there. And this is today's masterpiece. So we painted the pear, an apple, and a jar. And as I can see here, the shadow cannot be seen clearly with my screen's resolution. The shadow I did for the original, which is slightly darker, can be seen better. But not to worry. Okay, let me just bring it closer. So I think that's much better. You can now see the shadow. So this is an art piece where we have applied underpainting, and we can see how it has affected uh, and yeah, how it has affected the subject itself. I hope you enjoyed the session, and I will see you again next time for more underpainting. Have a great week. Bye-bye.